The dissemination of stories regarding unsolved missing person cases or murders is of utmost importance for a multitude of reasons. The primary purpose is to ensure that the cases remain prominent in the public consciousness, which can potentially result in new information or leads that may facilitate the resolution of the cases. Moreover, these narratives can help draw attention to more pressing issues, such as the necessity for better support mechanisms for the families of missing persons or more effective investigative strategies. It is also a means of commemorating the victims and keeping their memory alive, which is particularly crucial when justice is not attained. Ultimately, through the sharing of these stories, we can heighten awareness about the frequency of these occurrences and the significance of continuing efforts toward their resolution. Greetings, my name is Nix, and welcome to Into the Dark, True Crime Stories, a novel video series that takes you on a voyage through some of the most perplexing and unresolved disappearances and homicides in the United States. Join me as we scrutinize the evidence, theories, and impact of these cases on the families and communities involved. We will delve deeper into what happened and probe the reasons why these cases remain unresolved to this day. From small towns to large cities, we will illuminate the darkest corners of the country in pursuit of the truth. So join our fellow Fireflies as we explore the mysteries of the shadows and venture deeper into the dark. Angela Cummings. 19-year-old Angela Cummings was found dead in her boyfriend's apartment in Oroville, near Yuba City, California. The police suspected foul play, but did not have enough evidence to make an arrest. The case went cold until June 13, 1990, when a man called the Los Angeles radio station 106.7 Crowe during a news segment called Confess Your Crime. The caller confessed to beating his girlfriend to death before hanging up before the disc jockeys could contact the police. The confession sparked an investigation that would last for months. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department spent nearly 150 man-hours investigating the confession. After 9 months, scores of unsolved homicides were narrowed down to one specific case, Angela's case. The police found several similarities between the confession and Angela's case, and after the connection was made, a detective contacted Angela's mother, Liz, and told her about the confession. Liz listened to the confession tape, hoping that it would lead to a break in the case, but she was sickened by what she heard. During Kevin Ryder and Jean Baxter's interviews with Unsolved Mysteries, they were asked if the confession call was a hoax. Both denied it, claiming that there were certain lines they would not cross in order to get more ratings. However, as it turned out, Kevin and Jean were lying. In April 1991, the confession call was exposed as a hoax, conceived and executed by the disc jockeys, apparently as a publicity stunt. They had conspired with Arizona disc jockey Doug "The Slug" Roberts to pull off the publicity stunt. It was his voice heard making the bogus confession. The hoax was made public by former Crowe intern Dan Fellis, who had received phone calls from people who believed their loved ones were the victims in the case. He was stunned when he learned of the hoax and shocked that the disc jockeys kept up with it for so long. Kevin and Jean eventually confessed to their involvement in the hoax and confirmed that it was done to boost their ratings. They, along with Doug, were temporarily suspended by Crowe without pay and forced to pay $12,170 for the detective work put in to investigate the case. Despite the investigation, Angela's case remains unsolved. Liz was shocked and felt that what the disc jockeys did was despicable and cruel, playing with other people's lives to get more ratings. The Federal Communications Commission completed their investigation into the case in December and issued a 4-page letter admonishing Crowe's management for its deliberate distortion of programming. The Bag Murders. The Bag Murders were a gruesome series of murders in New York City from 1975 to 1977, where the remains of 6 men were found dismembered and stuffed in garbage bags, then thrown into the Hudson River. The killer and the victims' identities were never established. The murders had a significant impact on the gay community, as all the victims were assumed to be gay, and the murders took place in Greenwich Village, a popular gathering place for homosexuals. During the investigation, a man named Paul Bateson was arrested for the murder of a film reporter, and prosecutors brought before the court a witness who claimed that Bateson had also admitted to killing and dismembering 6 gay men and dumping their remains in the Hudson River. Bateson denied responsibility for the Bag Murders, and no charges were brought against him due to lack of evidence. The bag murders caught the attention of filmmaker William Friedkin, who adapted them into the plot of his 1980 film, Cruising, starring Al Pacino. The filming process was met with backlash and mass protests by members of the gay community, who accused Friedkin of homophobia. Journalist and LGBT rights activist Arthur Bell wrote a series of articles relating to the Greenwich Village murders, which helped to bring attention to the social stigmas faced by homosexuals in contemporary society. In 2019, interest in the case was revived following the release of the second season of the psychological crime thriller Mindhunter, which briefly covered the bag murders and Bateson's possible involvement in them. Despite the passage of time, the bag murders remain a chilling unsolved case that had a profound impact on the gay community and brought attention to the challenges faced by marginalized groups. Insert most recent picture here and name of case. Harold Dean Clouse Jr. and Tina Gail Lynn's paths crossed in 1978 when they were living with their respective families in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Dean's sister was dating Tina's brother, who eventually got married. Dean and Tina fell in love quickly and tied the knot in June 1979, shortly after meeting. They had a daughter named Holly Marie in January 1980 and were said to be devoted parents. The family moved to Louisville, Texas, in the summer of 1980, hoping to find work in the booming construction industry. Dean was a skilled cabinet maker and found employment with D.R. Horton Home Builders. They lived with Dean's cousin while saving up to buy their own home. Although their work wasn't always stable, there were no reports of any issues between the couple. However, in late October 1980, the Clouses suddenly lost touch with their families. It was later discovered that they were murdered sometime between October 1980 and January 1981, just weeks before their decomposing bodies were discovered on January 12, 1981. They were last seen alive in Louisville and were found in undeveloped, swampy woodlands north of Houston, 250 miles from their last known address. It is still unknown how they ended up there. Dean's mother reported them missing in 1981, but the police believed they had deliberately cut off contact and did not investigate much. The mysterious return of their car to Florida by an unidentified nomadic religious group was cited as evidence of their choice to disappear. The families tried to locate them, including reporting them to the Salvation Army, but no concrete developments were made. A civilian's dog discovered the decomposing human arm, which led to the discovery of the Clouses' bodies in northern Harris County, Texas, on January 12, 1981. They had been killed at approximately the same time and were found within feet of each other. Despite significant decomposition, they were identified and determined to be victims of homicide. Tina had been strangled and Dean had been bound, gagged, and beaten to death for trying to defend her. A bloodied towel and gym shorts were found at the scene, but it was unclear if the bodies were killed there or brought there later. The investigation into the disappearance of Holly Marie Clouse, the daughter of Dean and Tina, began after the couple's bodies were identified. No baby's body was found near the scene of the crime, leading investigators to believe that Holly Marie may have been kidnapped by the killers. However, after several theories were put forward, it was eventually discovered that Holly Marie had been left at a church in Arizona shortly after her parents' murders. Allison Peacock and her organization, Family History Detectives, along with the Clouse family, continued to search for Holly Marie, launching the Hope for Holly DNA project. An age progression image of Holly Marie was released to the public, and several family members submitted DNA samples to genealogy websites to try and find a match. Holly Marie was eventually found alive in Oklahoma at the age of 42, coincidentally on her father's birthday. It was discovered that her birth certificate had been sealed due to an adoption, and details of her childhood and life were being kept confidential. Holly Marie has met with her biological family over Zoom and will have the opportunity to meet them in person soon. The investigation into the disappearance of Holly Marie Clouse, the daughter of Dean and Tina, began after the couple's bodies were identified. No baby's body was found near the scene of the crime, leading investigators to believe that Holly Marie may have been kidnapped by the killers. However, after several theories were put forward, it was eventually discovered that Holly Marie had been left at a church in Arizona shortly after her parents' murders. Allison Peacock and her organization, family history detectives, along with the Clouse family, continue to search for Holly Marie, launching the Hope for Holly DNA project. An age progression image of Holly Marie was released to the public, and several family members submitted DNA samples to genealogy websites to try and find a match. Holly Marie was eventually found alive in Oklahoma at the age of 42, coincidentally on her father's birthday. It was discovered that her birth certificate had been sealed due to an adoption, and details of her childhood and life were being kept confidential. Holly Marie has met with her biological family over Zoom and will have the opportunity to meet them in person soon. After Holly Marie's safe recovery, the Hope for Holly project was renamed the Dean and Tina Lynn Clouse Memorial Fund, with a focus on identifying other unidentified deaths. The investigation into the Clouse murders is still an active criminal case, as confirmed by Harris County Police Deputy Thomas Gilliland. Due to the ongoing nature of the investigation, some information about the case is restricted. The focus of the investigation has shifted to finding the parents' killers, and new leads have emerged since Holly's return, generating public attention and the involvement of the Texas Attorney General's Cold Case Unit. In the 1970s, Jesus freak movements were common, and cults often emerged from these groups. However, by the 1980s, these movements had lost relevance. Dean, who had interacted with such movements during his teenage years, had stopped being involved with them after meeting Tina Lynn, according to his family. In December 1980, a woman calling herself Sister Susan contacted the couple's family in Florida, claiming to be interested in returning the couple's car. Dean and Tina had already been out of contact for several weeks by then. The family agreed to meet Sister Susan and several other members of her religious group at Daytona Racetrack, but multiple aspects of the meeting did not make sense. The religious group arranged for the meeting to be at night, and only Sister Susan spoke, claiming that Dean and Tina had joined their religious group and no longer wished to have contact with their families. The group then asked Donna Casasanta to donate $1,000 to them. Police were notified of the meeting beforehand, but no formal police report of the incident has been found. When Donna later reported Dean missing, the authorities dismissed her claim, citing the return of the car as proof that his disappearance was voluntary, based on what Sister Susan had said. However, the couple's families never believed that Dean and Tina would join a cult, and it is now thought that the car was returned intentionally to prevent a formal investigation. The religious group that returned the car is believed to be the same one that left Holly at a church in Arizona. Insert most recent picture here and name of case. Madalena Cajicari was last seen on November 21, 2022, exiting her school bus according to surveillance footage. Her mother, Diana Cajicari, claims to have last seen her 2 days later when she went to bed. Madalena missed almost 3 weeks of school, and on December 15th, Diana Cajicari reported her missing during a meeting with the school regarding her absences. Since Madalena's disappearance was reported, Cornelius police have conducted multiple searches of her home, Lake Cornelius, and asked residents of Madison County for information regarding her parents' whereabouts around the dates she disappeared. Detectives have reason to believe that Diana Cajicari was in the area between November 22nd and December 15th. Diana Cajicari and her partner, Christopher Palmer, are expected to appear in court on May 11th. Cornelius police are asking the public to continue sharing photos of Madalena using the hashtag #FindMadalena on social media. At the time of her disappearance, Madalena was wearing jeans, pink, purple, and white Adidas shoes, and a white t-shirt and jacket. She is 4 feet, 10 inches tall, has dark brown hair, and weighs approximately 90 pounds. The investigation into her disappearance is ongoing.